So this is Has Final Fantasy XIV Killed World of Warcraft by Josh Strife. And Josh Strife plays a lot of MMORPGs. His last name, Strife, it's a stage name, right? So it's like from Cloud Strife. And his first name is probably actually Josh.
Has Final Fantasy XIV killed World of Warcraft? Has the Western King of MMOs been dethroned by the Eastern Prince? Has the clickbait title got this video more views than normal? Let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife Hayes. Over the last few years, the MMORPG landscape has been dominated by 5 major MMO games: World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, The Elder Scrolls Online, and RuneScape. And of these 5, World of Warcraft has stood head and shoulders above all the others in terms of players. It's been an absolute dominant force in the MMORPG landscape. And because of this, every time a new MMORPG is announced or released, people always ask, is this the WoW killer? Will this dethrone the king?
Wait, they actually say that for every single digital card game for about Hearthstone too. Okay. When Hearthstone was like, what, one of the first digital card games, right? I don't know if it's the first, but it's like the first successful digital card game. And every time like another digital card game comes out, they're like, is this the game that's going to kill Hearthstone? They did that like with Runeterra, Artifact. Was it Artifact? The one that died? There's been a couple of other ones too. I think it was Shadowverse. But yeah, no, nothing has topped over Hearthstone. I think Hearthstone's still doing well. Magic the Gathering also has a digital game. Yeah, but Hearthstone's still better. Yeah.
World of Warcraft's biggest enemy wasn't another game. It was World of Warcraft itself. It turns out all the other MMOs had to actually do was sit around and survive long enough and wait as World of Warcraft messed up its own game and butchered its own player base, and then be there to comfort all of the World of Warcraft refugees that would eventually flock to them. Turns out all the other MMOs had to do was wait until people got sick of WoW and then welcome the refugee players. And it turns out that the game to do that might be Final Fantasy XIV. Let's discuss why. Before we begin, consider dropping a like on the video or subbing to the channel for more MMO stuff. Ring the bell so you get all the future videos, and a big shout out to the Patreon supporters. It is getting close to another font size reduction. More on this at the end. For now, let's begin. Let's start by discussing the idea that World of Warcraft can be killed, and if that were possible, how would it happen? Because it's a rather strange phenomenon. Right now, there are multiple MMOs all surviving. The big 5 and many smaller ones. And even if an MMO isn't number 1, it can still have a player base and make money. So it's not a case of there can be only one. MMORPG games aren't Highlanders. However, MMOs are games that people invest years of their life into. They're often so big they take hundreds or thousands of hours to fully explore, and so people want to pick the right one. This means not just finding a game they enjoy, or a game their friends play. It also means, and this is extremely important to a lot of players, finding a game that will definitely survive. No one wants to play a dying or dead MMO, because then your years of investment in your character might be taken away if the game does shut down. This puts MMOs into a really dangerous position. If people think your game is dying, people won't play it. And if people don't play, the game dies. It's a cycle, a horrible death spiral that's hard as hell to recover from, if possible at all. If you run an MMO, the last thing you want is the public to think your game is dying, because that could cascade very quickly into a massive player exodus. So multiple MMORPGs can coexist together. In fact, some would consider this essential for the genre to continue because competition breeds excellence. World of Warcraft is in no danger from other games simply existing, but if people think your game is dying, this can potentially start an almost unstoppable cycle. New players will Google your game and see people saying it's dying and so not join the game. And because new people aren't joining the game, your game ends up dying. It becomes this absolute domino effect of as soon as the public think it's not worth getting invested in, the public don't invest in it. And then the current player base realise there's no new blood coming into the game begins to stagnate and slowly die off. MMORPGs need to hit a critical mass of players on release to be enjoyable for the first few weeks, and then maintain this critical mass of players every expansion, every year, as they go on to remain enjoyable for both the people who are playing them now and the new people they want to come and join them. And while World of Warcraft may still be one of the strongest, most played games of all time, Dropping from the number 1 spot to the number 2 spot, that's a pretty big signal. That's a pretty big indicator that the king...
Wait, when did they drop from number 1 to number 2? And what took the first place? Also, I do want to know also, when was the last World of Warcraft expansion? Because I know, and you know, we all know Endwalker's out right now, and there's a lot of people playing Endwalker. But when was the last World of Warcraft expansion, and how was it? Oh, so you're saying World of Warcraft dropped down to number 2, and number 1 spot is Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, I do know that WoW isn't as up there as it used to be, and like all these WoW streamers are moving to Final Fantasy 14. Shadowlands was last year. All right. I wonder if people liked Shadowlands last year. Oh, they released everything 2 years also. Oh, so World of Warcraft's games are in between, expansions are between Final Fantasy 14s. People generally didn't like Shadowlands. Okay, let's continue then.
Untouchable. That World of Warcraft that has enjoyed genre dominance for so long might be floundering. And while it's not an unplayed game, while it's not a dead or a dying game, dropping from 1 to 2, that could start the first domino falling. So surely to beat World of Warcraft, all you need to do is release an objectively better game. Well, no, not really, because you're not just trying to get people to play a game. You're trying to remove people from an established culture and move them over to yours. I've already discussed why you can't kill World of Warcraft on my other videos. An MMO game isn't just a video game. It's a community, millions strong. It's a subculture, a friendship group, a clan, a guild, a personal connection to your character and the adventures they've been on. When you invest years of your life into anything, you form an emotional connection with that thing, and breaking that connection can be extremely difficult. It's the same as anything.
For sure.
A favourite TV show, a favourite band, a favourite person. Even if something objectively better comes along, you might not like that thing more. Even if they change over the years for the worse, the emotional connection will stay. Very few people can completely emotionally disconnect and drop years of bonding for something else. If a new MMORPG released today that was superior to every single MMO on the market in every conceivable way, it still wouldn't get all of the players, because people would stick to what they know and what they've come to love. We are emotional creatures. We get attached to things, even if we shouldn't. So a new game has to be not only great in terms of mechanics and graphics and player involvement, it needs to be so unimaginably great it actually destroys years of emotional build-up and commitment to other games and brings an established community over to it, which is just extremely unlikely to happen. There's similarities between playing an MMO you hate just because you've played it for so long and staying in a job you hate, or being friends or in a relationship with a person you hate just because it's familiar and you've got history. It's comfortable in an awful...
Yeah, you know it's bad. Like, you be in a relationship and you're like, you know it's bad already, but you're just like staying in it out of comfort. It's just so easy to stick to the same thing that you're comfortable with. Like, even like maybe some people with jobs they hate. How I did it in my case was I looked at the future and I was like, do I want to do this for another 2 years and just be like miserable doing it for another 2 years? It all boils down to the person to make the change one day.
Full way. It's a habit. In some cases, it becomes an addiction. So killing World of Warcraft isn't just a case of making a better game. It's a case of overcoming years of entrenched emotional bonds and personal connections. It's trying to get people to quit an addiction, because to many people that's exactly what World of Warcraft is, and this doesn't actually happen very often. Even in cases when people do leave their favourite MMORPG and go and play a new MMO that's just released, they often return to their old favourite within a few days, weeks, or sometimes months, because the game they know, the game they're good at, is comfortable, and people like being comfortable. When you spend years building up an understanding or a connection, you feel safe and secure in any position, be that a job, a relationship, or an MMO, and these year-long comforts can feel nice. Unfortunately, when people try a new MMO, they often expect to feel the same level of comfort and security within only a few days or a few weeks that previously took them years to build up in their other game. People often want a feeling of complete familiarity while also being something completely new. They want to feel they've been there for years years while also being amazed with a new experience. They want novelty and familiarity combined. Imagine leaving a several-year-long relationship
You can't
with
get
someone
it
you've
instantly.
grown to understand extremely well. When you start dating somebody else, you won't have that same deep level of understanding. You will need to work on it, and sometimes people don't want to work on it. They miss the old level of familiarity. They miss all the effort they've previously put in and don't want to put it in again, so they just go back to what they knew, even if it's not good for them or what they actually want. So if World of Warcraft is more than just a game, surely making another game isn't going to kill it, and that's absolutely right. World of Warcraft is a community, a personality. It is a hobby, a habit, in some cases an addiction. It is a personal love, a history, a memory. It's part of who you are, and a new game existing or being made isn't going to delete all of that. No other game is going to be responsible for destroying Warcraft's community. No other game is going to be responsible for tainting your memories of it. No other game is going to make World of Warcraft worse. Only World of Warcraft can do that to itself. And that is what we are seeing starting to happen. If you have a toxic friend or you're in a bad relationship, no matter how many better people you meet or how many people tell you it's a bad relationship, it often isn't someone else who changes your mind about that toxic person. It's the person themselves finally doing something you can't take, or finally annoying you for so long you just run out of patience. If you have a job you hate, you don't often leave because another slightly better job is hiring. You leave because your current job does something bad enough to push you away. The comfort at your current terrible job needs to be overcome to such an extreme degree, you finally leave. Humans stick around in situations long after we should have left because we have misplaced senses of loyalty, commitment, or toxic familiarity. And the catalyst that makes us finally move on often comes from the awful situation itself reaching new, unbearable levels of awfulness. World of Warcraft has franchise recognition, it has money, it has a long-term addicted player base, it has everything it needs to succeed, and it doesn't have to worry about other games killing it. It does have to worry, however, about it slowly killing itself. The most successful update World of Warcraft has released in the last 5 years was World of Warcraft Classic. This means the best received update was the removal of 17 years of updates. The current...
The fuck? WoW? He just... That's like a fucking burn, dude. Oh shit.
The current staff of Activision Blizzard today, working on World of Warcraft right now, are not the original Blizzard staff of 2004. The team that made World of Warcraft originally are long gone. They've been replaced with cash shop mounts,
That's how I feel about Blizzard as a whole also, like the whole company. Like, when we all used to love Blizzard, it wasn't the same people like back then that was working with Blizzard as it is now. I'm sure there's great people, of course, still working for Blizzard, but I don't know if they have that kind of control to change like what's happening to the games that we love.
Account boosts and lackluster expansion packs. World of Warcraft's subscriber base has been dropping at a consistent rate. It's actually dropped 41% since the latest expansion pack, Shadowlands, launched. Players return for the launch of a new expansion, play through it, and then leave. Why don't they stick around? It's because they're caught in the abusive gaming cycle of hoping it will be as good as it used to be, hoping it will be the experience they remember,
Copium.
and then realizing it just isn't. No single game has done more damage to World of Warcraft than World of Warcraft. And just like every bad relationship, every awful job, every toxic friendship, we are starting to reach the breaking point. And even the strongly addicted and franchised players are starting to leave. Asmongold, the world's largest World of Warcraft streamer, started playing Final Fantasy XIV, and it was his most viewed stream in months. Jesse Cox put out the video 15 years of WoW versus 1 year of FF14.
Oh yeah, everyone's putting out their
There was even a game report
comparison
saying the daily active player count for FF14 was closing the gap on World of Warcraft and was poised to overtake it very soon. Ultimately, World of Warcraft hasn't been taken down by another game releasing and being better than it. World of Warcraft has been damaged, harmed, and is starting to be taken down by World of Warcraft no longer being as good as World of Warcraft once was. If you want to imagine this situation without any of the emotional bonds, without the sunk cost fallacy, without any pre-established connections, imagine this. Imagine World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV both didn't exist. You have no history with them. No one does. No one's heard of them before. And then imagine they both release, as they are right now, today. They both hit the MMORPG scene at the same time. With the graphics they've got now.
I don't like World of Warcraft's graphics, so I wouldn't choose it.
As it is right now. In that case, do you think World of Warcraft would do better than Final Fantasy XIV? With no sunk cost fallacy and no emotional connection to either of the games, which of them do you think would do better if they both released on the same day?
I'm like an example of someone just like looking at both of games, just being like, okay, judging by the looks of it, which one do I want to play? And then I picked Final Fantasy. So I'd still be the same person looking at both new games and just be like, okay, I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV, easy.
I think more people would choose Final Fantasy XIV. I think right now we are seeing the result of Activision Blizzard consistently failing the player base. We are seeing the result of years and years of underwhelming updates. Expensive, unfulfilling expansions that remove more content than they add and contribute to parasitic gameplay design, including limited time systems and dropped mechanics every year, sometimes with substantial class changes that miss the mark and upset the player base. We are seeing the beginnings of an exodus within the World of Warcraft player base to any other game. And it just so happens Final Fantasy XIV, with its massive free trial, is welcoming the disenfranchised WoW players and picking up the pieces. Final Fantasy...
It sounds like World of Warcraft's getting worse and worse with every update or expansion. And Final Fantasy XIV, on the other hand, is getting better and better with every expansion and update.
XIV did not kill World of Warcraft. Final Fantasy XIV has been focused on being the best MMORPG it can be over several years. World of Warcraft killed World of Warcraft through years of bad updates, not listening to the community, and simply not being as good as it could be. But this shouldn't really come as a shock to Blizzard, because as they taught us themselves many years ago, no king rules forever. Thank you for watching.
Why is he so good at explaining things? It's like hypnotizing. Is it the English accent? and the Snorlax mug? Why was that so hypnotizing?